Chumvi huyeyuka chunguni, lakini ladha yake hubakia.
Kwa majina naitwa Vivian Chebet, nakimbia mita 800 na nimefurahia sana kuingia timu ya Olympic.
Safari yako ya athletics ilianzia wapi na umeachieve nini mpaka sasa?
Ilianza mwaka wa 2020, isipokuwa corona iliingilia, hapo ndio tukabackslide kidogo, lakini nilianza fully 2021. 2021 nikatrain hivyo, sikupata timu yoyote. 2022 ikakuwa the same, lakini nilienda races ng'ambo. 2023 nikafaulu, nikaingia World Championship ya Budapest. 2023 naona kuna big achievement na improvement pia, juu nilienda World Indo nikamalizia finalist number 4. Kakuja nikaenda Accra Kana All African Games kapata bronze, na hii mwaka ndio hii sasa Olympic nimeingia. Enyewe nimejitayarisha vizuri tangu mwaka ianze nikiwa loading. Nilikuwa natamani sana kuingia Olympic, lakini kwa kuwa nilikuwa a bit disappointed time ya trial, naye coach akaniongelesha mchezo yote lazima kuna winning na loser. Sasa hapo nikaanza kujipea moyo. After sometimes 2 weeks later nikapigiwa simu nijiungane na Odira na Mary. Tunafurahia juu tuna learn pamoja, tuna train, tunarekebishana, na pia kutrain pamoja inaleta hiyo unit. Sasa kuelewana sana kimazoezi, na pia coaches anazungumza makosa kurekebishana.
Penda tuige mfano wa Mtume Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, ambao ni kukumbushana mema na kukatazana maovu. Atakayechupa kavuka mipaka ya Allah amedhulumu nafsi yake. Kwa ile elimu inayokupelekea kwenda kudhulumu nafsi yako, hiyo elimu ni haramu. Bali tushikamane na elimu ambayo yenye manufaa, itatuwezesha sisi kujua dini yetu, kumjua Allah.
باسم السلام يبتدي لسعادة مدة يدي حب الحياة أرتدي كي أبذل الحياة.
Live from the broadcasting house in the county of Nairobi, this is the great KBC, and you're just in time for KBC Lunchtime News on this 18th day of July 2024. A comprehensive bulletin that we have lined up for you, including the latest in regards to the protest. We look at the situation, and in sports, for sports lover, the Olympic Village there is officially open. Over 9,000 athletes will be making the quarters their home for the next 1 month, preparing for the global showpiece that is Olympic. My name is Njue. Of course, we are also live on all our social media spaces. Our sign language interpreter for this live broadcast is Ann Wangeshi. And as I mentioned earlier on, let's have a look at the current situation in regards to the Gen Z protests and how situation is in Nairobi CBD. For that, we're joined by my colleague Farah Yusuf, who is currently at the Nairobi Business District. Farah, if you can hear me kindly, what is the latest? I can see you are in Uhuru Park.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, Ben, Troy, and Njue, coming to you live from the Uhuru Park. And this would have been the area where allegedly the protesters were supposed to converge. But as you can see, the plan to be converging here has seemingly been stopped. Outside Uhuru Park, you can be able to see police presence who are basically blocking any traffic, be it human or vehicles that are attempting to access this area. Of course, this is in a bid to ensure no unauthorized persons or vehicle is allowed to access Uhuru Park. And from the time that we did get to this place, no person or vehicle has been allowed to access the Uhuru Park. Apart from this, we were able to move around, or rather drive around the central business district, where normalcy is seemingly returning today. Traffic is moving as normal. Several businesses have been opened, as opposed to Tuesday, where businesses were not moving as normal. There were disruptions from the protesters, and of course in some cases the protesters were disrupted using tear gas canisters. But that is not the case today. We were able, of course, to speak to a few business people, and they're saying, as opposed to Tuesday, today business is better, and they are able to make not their normal daily targets, but at least it is better compared to how it was on Tuesday. Troy?
We have seen in the recent protests that we are having youths milling around the CBD. Is that the situation in regards to them waiting for maybe in the afternoon so that they may maybe come out?
Yeah, of course, we were able to see. It is not the normal process where you see other people. This is generally a Gen Z-led protest. But during our rounds today, we were not able to see many youth gathering in town, or rather the Gen Zs. It is just business going on as normal. We've not been able to see any incident out of the normal. So things are looking normal today in the CBD. But of course, I remember we can attribute this to the press release that was released yesterday by the National Police Service. I'll quote part of it, Troy, just to show. This was from the acting Service Inspector General, that is Douglas Kanja. Part of the release says, acting on the information and in accordance with internal security standards for public assemblies, which required a designated leader to coordinate, collaborate and cooperate with police for peaceful demonstrations, the leadership in previous demonstrations has made it difficult to enforce safety protocols. As a result, no demonstrations will be permitted in the Nairobi Central Business District and its surroundings until further notice, to ensure public safety. So that has been the case. We've not been able to see any protest today, but of course we'll remain vigilant. In case of anything happening, we'll be able to bring it to our viewers on the screens. Troy.
Just one more question, Farah. We've witnessed that the days that the Gen Zs are demonstrating, business is quite dull. How vibrant are businesses in the CBD?
Well, today, as opposed to the days which are primarily Thursday, Tuesday, where businesses seem to not be booming, we were able to speak to one particular person town to take part in their businesses. Perhaps the only thing they should be afraid of today is the cold and maybe instances of rain, but businesses are slowly returning to normal. Not vibrant as you would expect in other days. Of course, we have people who are not sure whether to come to the central business district in just to avoid any case of the protest coming up, but business is slowly coming back to normal, but we'll still keep touch base to just be sure to monitor the situation, and in case of any changes, our viewers are guaranteed to get that information on KBC Channel 1. Troy.
Thank you so much, Farah Yusuf. Farah, who is actually at the Nairobi CBD, and right now he has made a few trips here and there, and currently he is at Uhuru Park, where a section of the Gen Zs had said that they are going to be going to the Uhuru Park to eulogize and also to remember those lost during this protest. Thank you so much indeed, Farah. A more comprehensive report in our subsequent bulletin. And from Nairobi, let's have a look at what exactly is happening in Mombasa. In the previous days, we've seen that Mombasa also has been rocked by the demonstration, and some have been violent. Let's first of all have a look at what exactly is happening. As you can see, normalcy is slowly but surely returning. As you can see, police vehicles there trying to establish some sense of normalcy, what people have been mostly have been used to during Tuesdays and Thursdays during the Gen Z protest. But as you can see on the left side, a number of businesses that decided to shy away from doing business today, as they did not know exactly what is going to transpire. But as you can see, not quite as busy as it used to be, but a sense of calm and normalcy. The tuk-tuk continuing with their businesses. In the last couple of days, those streets have been a no-go zone with the Gen Zs there protesting against the government. But slowly but surely, everything seems to be back in order. And of course, we'll be having a check to see what other counties the situation is. But as we are having, this is Mombasa CBD as well, and everything seems to be flowing smoothly. Very well, of course, you can keep up with our live coverage in our social media spaces to know exactly what is happening in other parts of the country, but so far, so good. Elsewhere, shock and grief engulfs Sibaik village in Bureti constituency, Kericho County, after the bodies of two minors aged 6 and 8 were found tied in a blanket and buried in a shallow grave inside their grandmother's compound. The police have now launched a manhunt for the mother, who is believed to be on the run after committing the heinous crime. The bodies were moved to Kaptagat Sub-County Hospital mortuary awaiting post-mortem.
Imetushangaza ni kwamba nilikuwa nikimuona alikuwa ni mtoto mmoja, lakini baada ya kufungua ikapatikana ni watoto wawili wamekufa hapo ndani. Sijui kuna dada wetu hapa anakuanga na watoto wawili, mvulana na msichana, na hayuko nyumbani. Na hivi majuzi alikuja akamwambia mamake alikuwa anataka achukue hao watoto juu hao watoto wanakuanga na nyanya yao. Sasa mamake hakumkataa, sasa akawachukua watoto. Hajachunguza sasa kupata kama ni hao watoto ama ni wengine.
Naambiwa kwamba kuna msichana wa familia hii ambaye alipotea na watoto, na tunaona kwamba huenda hao watoto wenye walipotea ni hao wenye wamesikwa hapa. Watoto wameoza, but tunangojea homicide detectives ili tuweze tukajua mengi zaidi.
Quite a sad situation there, but away from that, let's now have a listen at what government spokesperson Dr. Isaac Mora had to say in his weekly brief in regards to the country's situation, and more specifically in the aftermath of the nationwide Gen Z protest. Let's listen in.
Waandamanaji ambao wanafanya njia hii kutokana na heshima na utaratibu, lakini kuna watu ambao wamejiingiza pale ndani ambao wanaleta vurumai na vurugu na wizi na uharibifu wa mali ya umma na mali ya watu kibinafsi, hata biashara za watu. Na tunataka kukemea kabisa mtindo huo, kwa sababu sasa hivi unapoangalia waandamanaji wengi ni wale ambao wanataka kuleta vurugu na ukosefu wa amani katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Kulingana na KRA, tayari tumeweza kupoteza shilingi bilioni 6 kutokana na maandamano haya, na hiyo inamaanisha kwamba tukiendelea kufanya hivi hata kazi za watu zitaharibika, na vijana wetu hawataweza kupata ajira ipasavyo. Kwa hivyo tunatoa kauli mbiu kwamba tumesema tuwe na dialogue, tuwe na mazungumzo. Ningependa kutoa mwito kwamba mazungumzo haya yaanze katika manyumbani mwetu. Wazazi, tuwazungumzie watoto wetu, kwa sababu tusiharibu nchi hata kidogo, kwa sababu hatuna nchi nyingine isipokuwa hii nchi yetu ya Kenya, ambayo tunaienzi, ambayo tumeirithi kutoka kwa wakuu wetu ambao waliotuacha, wale ambao walipigania uhuru.
Dr. Isaac Mwaura, a little bit earlier on today when he was giving his weekly brief, and from what I've gathered is that he's saying that the country has indeed lost over 6 billion shillings in lost revenue. That is according to the Kenya Revenue Authority, not to mention a big hit on tourism in regards to the Gen Z demonstration. My colleague Jackie Masharia is keeping tabs with what is happening there, and she will be back with a more loaded report in our subsequent bulletin. But in other news, leaders and business community in Embu and Kilifi counties have decried the destruction of property and loss of lives during Tuesday's protest. They called on the government to provide enough security and arrest the goons who infiltrate the peaceful demonstration. They further blamed the political class for fueling the chaos for political gains.
As in recent countrywide demonstrations by the youth to demand good governance, Tuesday's protests were not devoid of chaos, characterized by destruction of property and loss of lives. This has raised concern among leaders and traders in Embu County.
Hatukuweza kuuza siku mzima. In fact, tulifungua, tukakuja, kukaanza furugu hapa, vijana wakaanza furugu, hakuna kitu tuliuza, tulishinda hivyo, na tukaenda manyumbani bila kitu.
Kama wanabiashara wa Embu Town, maneno ya maandamano kwanza tuweke kando.
They however accuse the political class of fueling the chaos for selfish political gains.
Kama wewe unajua ni mwanasiasa hapa Embu na unaenda kuokota wale vijana weko kule mpande ya maybe upande wa vichochoro kule, ili wanje waingililie maandamano na wapore mali na waharibu maandamano ambayo yalikuwa ni peaceful, you are on notice.
Similar concerns were expressed in Magarini, Kilifi County, where the water community called on the youth to stop the demonstrations.
Sisi tuko na taifa mzuri, taifa ambalo halifanani na mataifa mengine, na sasa tunaenda kuiharibu sisi wenyewe, taifa ambalo wazee wetu walimwagia damu.
The Water Council of Elders Chair Jilo Onoto says it's difficult to differentiate between the peaceful demonstrators and goons who take advantage of the protest to loot.
Wengine ambao nia zao si maandamano wanajiingiza hapo ndani na wanaharibu biashara za watu. Kwa hivyo ninaomba hawa vijana waweze kuacha hili swala la maandamano.
Tilio Marco for Lunchtime News.
In other news, the Ministry of Education in partnership with COMID Kenya is implementing an English grammar competition dubbed Stopping School Dropout through the Transformative Power of English Grammar in Migori County. According to data from the Foundation Literacy and Numeracy Assessment FLANA in 2023, the school dropout rate in Kenya increased from 7.5% in 2021 to 8.5% in 2023. Tobias Owor, representing COMID Kenya, said that 40 schools in Migori County are participating in the English grammar competition as part of efforts to combat high dropout rates.
Most of our learners come to school and at grade 5, 6, 7, they drop out of school. In Korea, we have cross-border issues and many of them do not come back to school after FGM. In Awendo, because of Sugar Belt region and again there are cheap labor, the young learners run to this.
Brought our teachers on board, our learners. They have built their capacity to understand the challenges that go with learner dropout. And currently, I would say the rate is going down. The rate of child dropout is going down. and even the teenage pregnancy is actually reducing.
And civil society organizations in Busia County have strongly condemned recent killings reported in the Kware area of Pipeline Estate in Nairobi County. Speaking to journalists in Busia, the leaders of the organization said the cases of violence against women in the country have increased in recent days, calling on security agencies to hasten investigations into the horrific deaths. They also called on Busia Governor Dr. Paul Otuoma to intervene in the recent rise in cases of gender-based violence in the county.
Hakufanya kazi kwa sababu kutuambia ya kwamba wanawake wameuliwa 42 na muda huu wote watu walikuwa wanaripoti ya kwamba watu wao wamepotea, watu wao hawako. Hivi Kenya imengojea mtu kuota ndio waanze kutafuta muuaji ni nani?
What did these women do to warrant such inhuman killing? And how many more women should die before the government actively takes part in protecting the people, the citizens of this country?
Na sisi tuko hapa kama mashirika ya kijamii kuomba serikali ya kwamba ichukue hatua na pia itoke ituambie, itupe majibu, kwa sababu mwanamke ndio nguzo ya jamii.
And education stakeholders in Garissa County are calling for concerted efforts to ensure 100% enrollment of children in primary schools. Garissa has been ranked among counties largely affected by out-of-school going children between the ages of 6 to 13 years. Among the reasons attributed to this is illiteracy among parents, poverty, the community's nomadic way of life that affects the children's education, and retrogressive cultural practices.
We are trying to sensitize the community members so that we understand the importance of ensuring that our children go back to school, because actually it becomes very impossible even to drive in an agenda by the government if the populace that you are dealing with is uneducated. So these are some of the challenges we are facing, among other factors contributing to the children running out of school.
The UNICEF has supported in the renovation of these schools, both in infrastructure of water, sanitation and hygiene facilities, and also in the boarding infrastructure. So provision of supplies, provision of school uniforms, renovation of these schools were some of the strategies to support retention of these children.
Let's now shift gears to matters politics, where the County Assembly of Meru is inviting the public to a public participation exercise on the proposed removal from office of the County Governor, Kawira Mwangaza. Through a public participation invite published in one of the local dailies, the County Assembly has outlined the schedule for public participation sessions to receive both oral and written submissions at the ward level. The exercise will end on the 22nd of this month. It is the third time Governor Kawira Mwangaza is facing an impeachment motion from the County Assembly. To security now, where the National Counter-terrorism Center says it is putting in place comprehensive mechanism to address emerging challenges in corporate good practices and strengthen collective resilience against violence extremism. The center says it has completed public participation, and the views from Kenyans will help enrich its plan on how to deal with the threats of terrorism in the face of the fast-changing technology.
On Wednesday, the National Counter-terrorism Center hosted members from the security circles, both from the national and county levels, civil society actors and religious leaders, for the second round participation on the revised national strategy on counter-violent extremism.
Having NSCV as a guidance, it kind of helps us not only to successfully implement, but more important, to be able to measure success.
The model that Kenya has adopted is transcending, it is actually pivotal globally, because it hasn't happened, and Kenya has become a model case for a lot of countries in the world. in how we have been able to devolve interventions that are gearing towards prevention of violent extremism.
The meeting was to enlighten the stakeholders on the draft document based on views collected from the public.
I'm excited about the new strategy, and I'm sure it's going to help us address that menace.
There have been gaps here and there, and this new strategy is aimed at addressing those gaps that were identified and ensure that we prevent more the issues of violent extremism.
We hope that whatever comes up in this new strategy, we will have to enhance security.
The centre says once the draft is adopted by the National Security Council, it will help to come up with a strategic plan to guide it going forward on how the country will deal with violent extremism and emerging threats.
So what we are doing is doing a public participation, bringing together all sectors of the community with 8 counties represented here to just go through the draft and hear what all stakeholders have to say about this draft and to ensure that all views are included.
The move, it says, can only be won with cooperation of members of the public.
Before, as a religious leaders, we were seeing it as something category to another sect of the religion. But after engaging with them, we have found it is a word which is going to help us.
Very well, at about 23 minutes past the top of the hour, it's time for Anne Wangeshi and I to have a quick break. But when we come back, I will run you through a couple of more stories. But we still have more in business and also in sports. Remember, Olympics, iko KBC.
Okay, my name is Lilian Odira, an 800 meters runner. It's my first time in the Olympics team, and I'm grateful and wishing to do my best outside there. Yeah, the team is combined of Mary Mora, the world champion, and Vivian Chebet. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good.
Na hiyo attitude inatoka wapi msichana wa watu?
Whatever you're doing won't work.
Looking for this? I know you're planning to destroy me. Can I leave now? Come. Don't be scared. I'm not here to harm you.
Where? Just focus on spending your last days with your family. So,
why?
Because you're going to miss that.
Welcome back and many thanks for keeping it Channel 1. Moving on, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has called on Kenyans to ensure that peace and stability of the country is not put into jeopardy even as they push for better governance. While urging the youth to ensure that the peace is not interrupted, the Prime CS also challenged those in leadership positions to uphold integrity. He was speaking in Nairobi during the launch of the 2023-2027 Technical and Vocational Education and Training Strategic Plan. He assured TVET institutions of the government's support with the aim of addressing unemployment in the country.
There are serious challenges. So let's not, as a community, as a society, take our peace and stability for granted. Let us take corrective measures but let us not undermine the peace and stability. The countries that have suffered have taken up to 40 years to start showing signs of recovery. So it is important that we look at it more broadly, and we encourage our young people as we express ourselves that there must be a very clear indication that peace and stability are critical. Those in leadership and in authority do what is right. Those who are in school and whatever do what is right, so that we handle with dignity and integrity the responsibilities we have at every stage in our human life calendar, so that we can be able to move forward in a more positive manner going forward.
Homa Bay County Governor Gladys Wanga has launched a boda Sacco grant under the Inua Boda initiative to boost the local economy and support small-scale entrepreneurs. The program aims to provide financial aid to boda riders across the county's 40 wards. Speaking during the launch at Raila Odinga Stadium, the governor said her administration is committed to nurturing this sector in recognition of its potential in fostering self-employment and economic growth in the region.
Set aside by the county assembly is 40 million shillings, 1 million for every ward circle. Today, we are giving the first 20 million to the first 20 circles. Within the next month, by the end of next month, God willing, we will be giving another 20 million to another 20 circles that are left here today. Boda is the biggest employer of our young people in Homa Bay County. And therefore, as a government, we take the boda sector seriously. And we are working together. And I am happy, as a Department of Trade, they will also continue to train these boda groups so that they can grow this money that we have given to the boda groups.
From Homa Bay to Busia, where County Commissioner Chaunga has called on all child rights groups to work together with security personnel to curb child rights violation in the county. Speaking during the launch of a 5-year project dubbed Linda Mtoto Project in Busia, spearheaded by Free Pentecostal Fellowship in Kenya, the County Commissioner said the child traffickers take advantage of the porous border, points to lure children to the neighboring country for sexual exploitation and child labor.
You try as much as you can to be able to support this child, and then now you can refer to another agency.
Traffickers and predators take advantage of the porous borders, luring children into a world of exploitation and abuse. This heinous crime not only shatters the lives of the victims, but also tears the very fabric of our society. We must work tirelessly to protect our children from such predators and bring the perpetrators to justice. Addressing these violations require a multifaceted approaches involving government, non-government organizations.
Moving on, more than 300 persons with disabilities in Mandera County have received a donation of assorted mobility kits from the county government aimed at empowering and improving their mobility and independence. Speaking during the distribution of the items, Social and Gender Services County Executive Committee member Sumeya Noor said the devices would help individuals from being confined to their homes due to immobility issues.
Tukipata habari tu hivi kutoka kwa sub-county administrators wetu, tuambiwe kuna mtu ambaye anakaa kwa nyumba ameshindwa kuondoka kwa sababu amekosa wheelchair. Tumeweza kubeba wheelchair kutoka kwa store hapa hivi tukapeleka mpaka Dandu. So hii ni vifaa vyenu, mko na haki naye, ni form kidogo ambayo inafiliwa.
Leo tunaona kama tumetembelewa na vifaa zimeletwa, tumepata, tunafurahi, lakini mimi naomba vifaa mingi iletwe, tunaomba.
Very well, as I had mentioned earlier, we are keeping a keen eye on how the country in various parts is, especially during the ongoing demonstration that was slated for today. But as we have seen in various parts of the country, our calm is slowly but surely coming back. But let's now cross over to Giverson Maina, who is that Waiyaki Way? Yes. You do remember that this is one of the roads that was worst hit by the Gen Z protest and at some point had to be shut down. But let's hear more from Giverson. If you can hear me, Giverson, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Troy. And actually, as you rightly put it, this is Waiyaki Way, and exactly at a Kangemi location. And of course, the situation, as you can say, is very good, very clear. This is a normal day for residents of Kangemi and residents, residing along Waiyaki Way, including up to Kikuyu, and where we've been able to just go and see how businesses are, operating. It's a very normal day. There are no protests. All businesses have been able to are opened. Kenyans are going on with their normal activities. The traffic flow along the Waiyaki Way is quite normal, and a little bit time of snarl up or rather traffic here and there, jams. And of course, just looking at the people around here, they act in a very normal way. There's no fear of any, signs of protest. There is no even presence of any police officers apart from the traffic police officers who are just doing their normal work, along the highway. And just to show you on the background, just to see the traffic flow, the businesses. Things are very normal. But, as we really do not know whether this is as a result of the police officers or rather the Inspector General of Police, actually the acting IG, one Douglas Kanja Kericho, who yesterday banned the protest that there was speculation that they would happen today. And, of course, just quoting one of the statement that Kanja said yesterday, that in keeping with our constitutional role and in the interest of national security, we wish to inform the public that we have credible intelligence that organized criminal groups are planning to take advantage of the ongoing protest to execute the attacks, including the looting. And this particular statement was referring to today on Thursday, because there was speculation the protest would happen today. And he went on saying, acting on this information and in accordance with international security standards for public assemblies, which require designated leader to coordinate, collaborate, and cooperate with police for peaceful demonstrations, the lack of designated leadership in the previous demonstrations has made it difficult to enforce safety protocols, and as a result, no demonstration will be permitted in Nairobi Central Business District and its surroundings until a further notice to ensure public safety. And so these particular protests that speculated to have happened today, or rather to happen today, were banned by the police. But of course, a section of Kenyans and youths online who call themselves Gen Z, they've been able to see, or rather disown this particular protest that was to happen today, saying, the posters you were able to see online calling for, Kenyans to occupy Uhuru Park was not theirs. And so they disown it and say up to today they have not organized or rather called for any other protest apart from the protest that we saw on Tuesday. And so things are very normal on this road. People going on with their businesses, the traffic flow, very fine and very safe. Everybody just doing their work, Troy. This is a very normal day for the residents of Kangemi and even along the Waiyaki Way, even up to Kikuyu and even other areas along this route. Back to studio, Troy.
Just a quick one. During the other demos, we had seen a huge contingent of police officers, and we cannot see them now. What is the situation, the security situation?
As Troy has mentioned to you earlier, there is no presence of a single GSU officers or anti-terror officers or anti-riot officers along all the places that we've been able to, traverse, along Waiyaki Way, Kangemi, Kawangware. We've not been able to see or even to single one out except the men and women in blue, the traffic officers just doing their normal jobs, just making sure that the traffic is flowing smoothly. Troy.
Thank you. Give us on Maina with a comprehensive coverage of Waiyaki Way. Good to see the busy superhighway is now easy and everything is smoothly flowing. And away from that, let's now make sense of shillings and cents in business. Feed manufacturers are calling on the government to increase access to other genetically modified raw materials to bolster production and lower the cost of feeds. Currently, BT cotton seed cake manufactured animal feeds account for 30% of production. On the other hand, government is exploring ways to increase soya and sunflower production to boost feed production.
Data from the Ministry of Agriculture shows that Kenya has an animal feed supply gap of 33 million metric tons. Animal feed manufacturers opine leveraging GMO raw materials is key in bridging the gap at a cheaper cost.
And that cotton that they are growing, after they process the cotton seeds, we are getting the cotton seed meal from that process. And now I can confirm to you, as a chairman of Akifema, that we are buying all our cotton seed meal locally. So that's a very great chance or opportunity that the government has given to us.
The growing demand for cotton seed cake is expected to revitalize the cotton subsector and open up a lucrative income stream for farmers. Further, feed farmers have been urged to harness available technologies developed by local researchers and create an enabling environment for investment for mass production.
I want them to learn the latest technologies in feed manufacturing, so that at the end of the day, they'll become more efficient, they'll be able to produce their feeds cheaply, and also of very high quality. So at the end of the day, the farmers will benefit with very high quality feeds and low costs.
Livestock Principal Secretary Jonathan Mweke also put on notice feed manufacturers producing substandard products, terming it detrimental to the livestock commercialization program and a threat to food security.
Now we are going down to focus on production to make sure our farmers can produce what it is that the market needs in the quantity and the qualities that are required by the market and in a consistent fashion.
The animal feed exhibition and conference is expected to address challenges affecting the livestock sector, including market access, limited availability of new feed proteins, post-harvest losses, and lack of feed testing facilities.
Now, the Kenya Agricultural Livestock Research Organization, KARO, is contracting 200 farmers for a rice seed multiplication project aimed at enhancing distribution of certified hybrid seeds as part of a 5-year strategy aimed at growing rice production.
Imported 937,000 tons of rice worth 55 billion shillings in 2023. The country plans to reduce by half rice imports over the next 5 years by increasing local production. Kenya Agricultural Livestock Research Organization has, in partnership with the Korea Partnership for Innovative Agriculture, rolled out a 5-year hybrid seed multiplication project that will see 200 farmers contracted to drive the commercialization and distribution.
For us to be able to close that gap, we need to have a seed system which ensures quality seed, affordability, so that farmers are able to increase production.
The Kenya Agricultural Livestock Research Organization says the country's rice seed systems needs to be formalized and strengthened to make them more effective in addressing certified seeds accessed by farmers.
I'd like to move farmers, maybe up to 60-70% of them use certified seed. That will increase production.
Kenya consumes 950,000 metric tons of rice annually, while production is about 200,000 metric tons.
Consumption of rice in the country is going up, especially because of the young people who are abandoning ugali and going for rice.
The program will see some seed experts and extension officers trained in South Korea on proper rice production. Benson Druba reporting for Lunchtime News.
Further afield, Singapore's economy seems to be on track to improve from last year as key sectors strengthen and cost pressures stay in check. According to the central bank's latest annual report, the Monetary Authority of Singapore expects trade-related sectors to get a boost from the recovery of the global electronics industry with modern services, which include financial, info, communication, technology, and media, improving from 2023 thanks to the expected peaking of global policy interest rates. Details of this and more stories from around the world.
The growth in travel and domestic-oriented segments of the economy will moderate but stay above trend despite Singapore's economy losing some steam in the first quarter of the year after gathering pace in the later half of last year. It is expected to grow 1% to 3% in 2024, up from 1.1% in 2023. Advance estimates earlier this month put second quarter growth at 2.9% from a year earlier, better than markets had expected, but a touch lower than the first quarter's 3.0% expansion. A bright spot was manufacturing, which contributes a big chunk to gross domestic product and swung to growth in the second quarter from a contraction in the first 3 months of the year. Meanwhile, Finnish telecom equipment maker Nokia said its operating profit fell 32% in the second quarter because of continued weak demand for 5G telecom equipment, but forecast a demand improvement in the second half. Its comparable operating profit fell to 423 million euros from 619 million euros in the same quarter a year earlier. Nokia said its net sales fell 18% year-on-year in constant currency, largely because the pace of investment in 5G technology in India, which accounted for about 12.5% of total 2023 sales, slowing down after rapid growth a year before. However, the company kept its full-year guidance for comparable operating profit between 2.3 billion and 2.9 billion euros. Finally, LG Display, which commercialized tandem OLED displays for the first time in 2019, will mass-produce its third-generation tandem OLED products for automobiles with increased display brightness and durability beginning from 2026. LG Display has set 2026 as the year for volume production of the third-generation tandem OLED displays for automobiles, which improved brightness and power consumption by 20% compared to second-generation ones, beginning the full-scale development on July 18th. Lorraine Chepchirchir for Lunchtime News.
And in sports, the Olympic Village for the 2024 Summer Paris Olympic Games will officially open today and will accommodate more than 14,000 athletes and their entourage. The IOC Refugee Olympic team will be among the first teams to arrive at the Olympic Village after staying at the historic town of Bayer in northern region of Normandy in France. They include 20-year-old Perrine Locoure-Nakang, who has been training under the former world 800-meter champion Janet Jepkosgei. The two arrived in Paris over the weekend as they look forward to the 800-meter race, where Perrine will seek to emulate her coach. 37 athletes from around the world were selected to compete for the IOC Refugee Olympic team in different disciplines, and they will be seeking to change the narrative for more than 100 million people who are displaced around the world.
Other hits have been done in 1:45, and coming from the outside in Denmark's Andreas Bube, and he's trying to move forward. Jules of United Kingdom comes forward, and that's an easy win for Yassine at Algeria. Let me see, that's...
And still in France, Ecuador's Richard Caparaz emerged victorious in the 17th stage of the Tour de France to record his first ever stage win of the 2024 edition in Super Devolley.
Paz overtook Simon Yates on the penultimate climb after stunning breakaway to win his first ever Tour de France stage win.
Richard Carapaz, he's had the yellow jersey and now he adds the stage win. Take a bow, the Ecuadorian Eagle wins stage 17.
The favourites in the Tour also tested each other on the final two climbs, with race leader Tadej Pogacar of Team Emirates managing to remain in a yellow shirt, while elite second place Jonas Vingegaard and Remco Evenepoel The riders are tackling the 18th stage today, which takes them on an 180-kilometer adventure from Gap to Baclonet, with tougher stages awaiting them tomorrow and Sunday.
Now, in a landscape scarred by terror and betrayal, Shalom, a soldier consumed by hatred for terrorists, becomes trapped in a cruel twist of fate. His girlfriend, a survivor of the 1998 Nairobi bomb blast, bears enduring physical and emotional scars from the tragic day. Their dreams of parenthood are shattered, her womb irreparable, damaged by the blast, foreclosing their future together. This is the storyline of the screenplay Guns and Roses. Jacqueline Macharia reviews for today's cinema and theatre.
Haunted by his personal vendetta and driven by love, Shalom is lured to the treacherous battlefield of El Ade in Somalia. Unbeknown to him, the general who commands him is a double agent, secretly working for the terror group Al-Shabaab.
Keep having this dream.
This treacherous leader, consumed by his own forbidden desire, covets Shalom's girlfriend and orchestrates the mission as a death sentence for Shalom and his men.
Guns and Roses is a story that is inspired by what happened in 2016 in El Ade, Somalia, right? We are all well aware that soldiers went there, rather they were sent there on a peacekeeping mission. However, something happened and soldiers ended up, dying after an attack by Al-Shabaab militia came about within that very same area, and hundreds of them died. There was a lot of mystery behind it, a lot of tears as well, so I felt it was a very, very good story that needs to be, retold again, probably from a different angle to a different audience, but told nevertheless.
These terrorists in the eye and watch them all die for the pain they caused us. Shalom.
Marvin Kibicha, the play director, says the characters in the play have outdone themselves, bringing the story to life. But how was members of the cast as they prepared for the play?
The rehearsal process has been good. A lot of information has also come to the fore. We are beginning to tell this story from a point of, a soldier's perspective.
First of all, I wasn't casted for this role. It was given to another lady, but just things didn't go on well. So the director, Marvin Kibicho, called me and he told me that, yeah, this and this happened. Will you be available to play this role? And I was like, okay, fine. And I was given the script. I started a bit later. Thank God. Due to my experience in acting, I was able to grasp the play.
Who told you about the mission to Somalia?
As Shalom marches into the deadly ambush, he carries the weight of his dreams and the love that binds him. The battle is a brutal clash, not only of arms, but of the deepest human emotions. In the end, Shalom's fate is sealed by betrayal, leaving his girlfriend to mourn a love torn apart by war and deceit.
People should come and watch this play because it is a very, very pertinent story with regard to what is happening within our country right now. A lot of people are questioning leaders, they are questioning decisions, and that is also what we are doing even through this play in retrospect. We are also questioning some of the decisions that were made during that time with regard to El Ade and Somalia and Gedo and all the events that happened, right? And we're also challenging and looking into the consequences that come about when certain decisions are are made. We're going to be at the National Theatre, Ukumbi Mdogo, from the 27th to the 28th, 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. on both days. Come and experience theatre in all its glory.
Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
Guns and Roses. Don't forget to make a date with Jackie Masharia every Wednesday at 9 p.m. with a repeat on Thursday at 1 p.m. for cinemas and theatres. And on that note, we wrap up KBC Channel 1 Lunchtime News on this Wednesday afternoon. My name is Bentro Njue. Anne Wangeshi has been our sign language interpreter for these live newscasts. Don't forget to check out our social media spaces for this news plus much more. On behalf of everyone who has made this broadcast a success, I wish you a blessed afternoon.